Hello, and welcome to the podcast version of the Week in Review newsletter. This is issue number 10. Undertone is Paranormal Activity, but with podcasts. Complimentary. My last Coggy search before it began was Undertone movie jump scares? I had committed to seeing this film with virtually no information. Horror movie with really special audio was the sum total of my knowledge when I AMC A-listed a 10 p.m. Dolby Cinema screening, and a letterbox review from my friend Hubert then told me that the horror was religious in nature. I only found out that it was an A24 release from the headlines on that Coggy search. But I didn't learn anything more about the movie other than a general sense that it wasn't going to be jumpy. And on one hand, thank fucking God. I really hate jump scares. We recently passed the 10-year anniversary of one of my most scathing reviews of a 2016 horror film called The Forest. And it's not worth reading any more than the film was worth watching. But the thing to know is that it's a bad movie that had pretty competently executed moments that got me every single fucking time, even though actually I looked away from the screen during a bunch of them. Fuck that movie. I hated it so much. But on the other hand, a jump scare in the most jump scare heavy movie means that the jump scare is over. I hate the jump, but the worst part is the anticipation. I've never seen a movie go as deep on the anticipation of a jump scare without release as Undertone, which means it was one of the most stressful cinematic experiences I have ever had. And if we lived in any sort of monoculture, I think it could have hit like Paranormal Activity did nearly 2 decades ago. Like here is another low-budget supernatural spookfest set entirely in a home, the director's actual childhood home, featuring a tiny cast that pulls every bit of mileage it can from that. I loved the gimmicky marketing campaign of Paranormal Activity. It was the first time I saw a horror movie in theaters. I cried from fear stress. I didn't cry at Undertone, but I wasn't far away. I should probably cry more. I hear it's good for you. Whatever. Undertone's real gimmick is the fact that it has only 2 on-screen actors in its entire runtime. Evie and her comatose mother. Everyone else exists entirely in voiceover. And I mean, how else are you going to get in the head of a remote podcaster? Because that's what Evie is, the co-host of the Undertone podcast, which pits Justin the believer against Evie the skeptic. In a fun bit of marketing, the official website has recaps of episodes 6 through 13, though I am kind of disappointed that they didn't actually record them. And not going to lie, the fact that they only have a baker's dozen episodes does raise too many questions about the relative success of this project, which only occurred to me as I wrote that sentence and is absolutely not like a in the movie problem. Like this is not the sort of podcast that I would listen to, but it feels like a podcast that someone would. And the production process feels impressively natural, particularly in the way that you can't really tell what is going to be in the final recording and what is just them talking or like pausing to look up information or whatever. You assume it's everything, and then someone will say, all right, back to recording. And I would think, oh yeah, of course that wouldn't be in the final show. But at the same time, it would always throw me off a little. Again, complimentary. It feels oddly voyeuristic to be getting the raw creation, which is interesting because there's absolutely a version of this horror movie that is voyeuristic. Podcaster home invasion when... Wait, no, actually that's an interesting idea. A24, call me. But it's not this one. It said we are firmly in the James Wan school of supernatural spookery, but the reason I think Undertone should be taught in schools is because it looks like a James Wan movie and absolutely does not act like a James Wan movie. Basically, every single shot in this entire fucking thing is unsettling. When Evie is deep down the Google rabbit hole looking up something that Justin has mentioned, the camera frames her off the side, leaving like a huge huge gap of space for just like something fucked up to happen, right? Every cut is deliberate, obviously, but every cut here feels like it's going to reveal some new thing in the darkness around her. Like there are even shots where the camera just spins around slowly. Like it even does the mirror bathroom thing. Like she looks at herself, then she washes her face, and then she opens the mirror, and then she closes the mirror. I've seen this movie before, and there's always some stupid, dumb looking fucking demon there. But But no, it doesn't come. And it keeps not coming and not coming. And things do happen. At one point, I involuntarily said, ah, fuck. Like at a moment that turned out to be in the trailer, boo. But so much less happens than you expect, which creates the overwhelming tension for basically the first 75 minutes of this movie while you're really waiting for the true nature of the evil to be revealed. After this, I don't know, man. Supernatural shit doesn't actually scare me that much. So those last 10 minutes were the least stressful of the whole thing for me. And I don't know how a second screening would feel now that I actually know when and where things do and don't happen. But also, that's cope. I shouldn't. I should have finished this as a hot take, 5 days before I posted, but it is a review. It ended up being a full review because every evening after work, when I tried to sit down and write, I just started freaking out again. Like I slept really badly after the showing, needing to watch a British girl complain about Life of a Showgirl for an hour before I could go to sleep with the lights on while listening to pop mashups. Undertone got under my skin in a way that no movie has since Smile. Shout out to the intro, my review of that one. It was real good. Possibly the best I ever made. I don't know. And it continued to be there for, another couple weeks after. It's genuinely exciting to see a movie be as effective as Undertone with as few resources as it has. I was honestly kind of surprised at the budget, reportedly $500,000, but it reminded me of a Lonely Island quote I cannot for the life of me find, paraphrased to, when we were young and independent, we could make cool videos for like $100. But once people got involved, we had to spend $100,000 to make something as good. If it was just a handful of friends making it happen, virtually the exact same movie could be done for $24,000, which is how much Paranormal Activity cost adjusted for inflation. But not paying people properly and skipping out on things just to keep the budget down isn't actually cool. And so I'm glad they did it right. And also, apparently, that the writer-director behind this has been tapped for the next Paranormal Activity. That's cute. Good job, team. 8.3 out of 10. Thank you for watching. Again, this is the Weekly Review newsletter. As you can tell, I wrote this a little while ago. It took a while to finish it, record it. Doesn't matter why. But yeah, if you wanted it then when it was more relevant and all of the other things, including hot takes, for example, that I will just never record, you can get them there. So yeah, hope to write for you next time.